Developed and released in 1991 into the arcades by Capcom, Captain Commando is yet another one of Capcom's many arcade scrolling fighters, and the 17th game developed for the CPS-1 board. Captain Commando is set in the crime-ridden future of Metro City, just like Final Fight, in the year 2026, where the superhero named Captain Commando, assisted by his 3 faithful commando companions, rise up to protect the Earth and all the galaxy from a gang of super-powered criminals. Up to 4 players can play at once in this action-packed game. Each character can jump, punch, perform extra attacks, as well as performing special moves that of course take away some of your energy each time you use them. Throughout the levels you'll also come across various weapons to use against your enemies. However, use them wisely, as they tend to disappear after 3 uses. The Super Famicom was certainly not the best machine for scrolling fighters, due to its slow CPU. In fact, one of the best attempts is Capcom's own Final Fight 3. So how does Captain Commando shape up? Well, on the plus side, the game does look very much like its arcade big brother. Capcom have done a great job on the presentation. Great use of colour, although darker than the arcade, and nice detail. The backgrounds also look pretty close to the arcade, considering the hardware it's running on. So far so good, but then we have the sound. Bloody hell, this is bad. The sound effects are extremely muffled, but what's worse is the music. Capcom are well known for not being the greatest sound designers on the Super Famicom, bar a few exceptions, and this game shows. Awful instrument choice coupled with nasty renditions of the arcade soundtrack. But it gets worse. Let's talk about the gameplay. As you've probably noticed by now, this port has a maximum of 4 characters on screen at once. But what happens if you try and play a 4-player game? Well, don't worry, because this port is only 1 or 2 players. In a 2-player game, you have yourself, the second player, and 2 enemies on screen at once. Not really an action-packed time, but that's okay, because this port runs really slow, so any more on screen would grind it to a halt. If that wasn't bad enough, we now also have to deal with the unfair collision detection. Finally, let me mention that this version is also censored. No more cutting players in half, no more melting corpses, and no more mechs to ride in. Konami showed us that the Super Famicom can handle arcade scrolling fighters well, with Turtles in Time. Just a shame Capcom couldn't follow suit. You'd expect Capcom to have ported Captain Commando to the PlayStation, but it was actually developed by New Inc. and released in 1998. This port is actually far better than the arcade original. Now we have 2 soundtracks to choose from, the original or arranged. We also have a much faster and more importantly, tighter gameplay. Everything feels so much nicer in this PlayStation port. The game feels more modern, for lack of a better word. I also think the graphics look a bit more polished as well. Or that could be because I've just come directly from playing the Super Famicom version. Either way, this is one excellent port that exceeds the original in all but one respect, and that is, this is only playable by up to 3 players, while the arcade is 4 players. I'm just sad that it was never released on the Saturn. Talking of which, there was a port planned for the Mega CD, but it never came about.
Captain Commando.
And let's take a look at all 3 versions of Captain Commando running side by side.